for that is the pass into the Bear country, whereby those huge men come down to chaffer with me." "Yea," said Walter, and therewith he turned him a little, and scanned the rock wall, and saw how a few miles from that pass it turned somewhat sharply toward the sea, narrowing the plain much there, till it made a bight, the face whereof looked well nigh north instead of west, as did the more part of the wall. And in the midst of that northern looking bight was a dark place, which seemed to Walter like a downright shard in a cliff, for the face of the wall was of a bleak grey, and it was but little furrowed. So then Walter spake: "Lo, old friend, there yonder is again a place that meseemeth is a pass. Whereunto doth that one lead?" And he pointed to it. But the old man did not follow the pointing of his finger, but looking down on the ground answered confusedly, and said: "Maybe, I wot not. I deem that it also leadeth into the Bear country by a roundabout road; it leadeth into the far land." Walter answered nought, for a strange thought had come uppermost in his mind, that the carle knew far more than he would say of that pass, and that he himself might be led thereby to find the wondrous three. He caught his breath hardly, and his heart knocked against his ribs, but he refrained from speaking for a long while. But at last he spake in a sharp, hard voice, which he scarce knew for his own: "Father, tell me, I adjure thee by God and All Hallows, was it through yonder shard that the road lay, when thou must needs make thy first stride over a dead man?" The old man spake not a while. Then he raised his head and looked Walter full in the eyes, and said in a steady voice: "No, it was not." Thereafter they sat looking at each other a while, but at last Walter turned his eyes away, but knew not what they beheld nor where he was, but he was as one in a swoon; for he knew full well that the carle had lied to him, and that he might as well have said aye as no, and told him that it verily was by that same shard that he had stridden over a dead man. Nevertheless he made as little semblance thereof as he might, and presently came to himself, and fell to talking of other matters, that had nought to do with the adventures of the land. But after a while he spake suddenly, and said: "My master, I was thinking of a thing." "Yea, of what?" said the carle. "Of this," said Walter, "that here in this land be strange adventures toward, and that if we, and I in especial, were to turn our backs on them, and go home with nothing done, it were pity of our lives, for all will be dull and deedless there. I were deeming it were good if we tried the adventure." "What adventure?" said the old man, rising up on his elbow and staring sternly on him. Said Walter: "The wending yonder pass to the eastward, whereby the huge men come to thee from out of the Bear country, that we might see what should come thereof." The carle leaned back again, and smiled and shook his head, and spake: "That adventure was speedily proven; death would come of it, my son." "Yea, and how?" said Walter. The carle said: "The big men would take thee, and offer thee up as a blood offering to that woman who is their Mormet; and if ye go all, then shall they do the like with all of you." Said Walter: "Is that sure?" "Dead sure," said the carle. "How knowest thou this?" said Walter. "I have been there myself," said the carle. "Yea," said Walter, "but thou camest away whole? Art thou sure thereof?" said the carle. "Thou art alive yet, old man," said Walter, "for I have seen thee eat thy meat, which ghosts use not to do." And he laughed. But the old man answered soberly: "If I escaped, it was by this, that another woman saved me, and not often shall that befall. Nor wholly was I saved; my body escaped forsooth. But where is my soul? Where is my heart and my life? Young man, I rede thee, try no such adventure, but go home to thy kindred, if thou canst. Moreover, wouldst thou fare alone? The others shall hinder thee." Said Walter: "I am the master; they shall do as I bid them. Besides, they will be well pleased to share my goods amongst them, if I give them a writing to clear them of all charges which might be brought against them." My son," said the carle, "I pray thee go not to thy death. Walter heard him silently, but as if he were persuaded to refrain; and then the old man fell to, and told him much concerning this Bear folk and their customs, speaking very freely of them; but Walter's ears were scarce open to this talk, whereas he deemed that he should have nought to do with those wild men, and he durst not ask again concerning the country whereto led the pass on the northward. Section 3